today I pull from all of those various different strengths and I show up. I show up for people who are looking to heal old wounds or traumas or belief systems so that they can get rid of that and step into a version of themselves, as you say, their audacious life.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
basically, my intention, oddly, is to see and to support other people in being completely full of themselves, full of their essence, full of their life force energy, ready to show up in the world without unapologetically.
Love it.
Driven by purpose, fueled by passion. My words got power, my thoughts have action. Motivation, stay gracious. That's greatness. Be audacious. Motivation. Be audacious. Innovation. Be audacious. Inspiration. Be bold. Motivation. Be audacious.
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to the Audacious Living Podcast. It's always a pleasure to be here, and I truly appreciate you taking time out of your day to join us here. This podcast exists for one purpose, and that's to help you live your best, audacious life ever. Now, today's conversation invites us to slow down, reconnect, and heal. We explore grounding, intention, mindfulness, energetic hygiene, and the importance of releasing trauma, both big and small. Now, I want you to think of your life like a tree. When the roots are grounded, the soil is nourished, growth happens naturally. When they're not, everything feels harder than it needs to. That's where today's conversation begins. Listen, healing doesn't start at the surface. It starts at the roots. Grounding connects us back to the earth's nurturing energy. Our thoughts and intentions shape the energy we carry and the healing we allow. Meditation and mindfulness help us align with who we truly are, not who we've been conditioned to be or thought we were. Energetic hygiene is big because it helps us to protect and restore our energy so we don't lose ourselves while serving others. And trauma, well, whether it's big or small, it's got to be acknowledged and released. If real healing is ever going to take place, it can't be in the same place as trauma. This episode is about tending to your inner root system so you can grow, expand, and thrive. Joining me today is Dr. Mary Sanders. Dr. Mary is a medical intuitive, chiropractor, and energy healer who blends science, spirituality, and lived experience to help people heal at the deepest levels. Her mission is to support people in becoming fully embodied, energetically coherent, and unapologetically aligned with their true essence so they can show up fully in their lives. What makes her work especially relevant to this conversation is that she doesn't just talk about healing, she lives it. And she teaches it in a way that's grounded, accessible, and deeply human. This is a spacious and honest conversation about what it really means to heal and reconnect with yourself. So let's step into it together. Here's my chat with Dr. Mary Sanders. Enjoy. Hey, Dr. Mary, thank you for joining me here today on the Audacious Living Podcast. I appreciate you for taking the time to be here. Thank you.
Audley, thank you so much for holding space for me. I'm looking forward to having a heartfelt conversation with you and the listeners. So thank you so very much.
No, I very much appreciate the opportunity. I've oftentimes said, I feel sort of my own personal, mission is really tied to sharing and being able to encourage dialogues and conversations, that in line with this podcast, help people live their best audacious life. And so, like the way I think about it is, here you and I, Mary, are going to have a conversation, and others will have an opportunity to eavesdrop and listen to what we're talking about when we don't know who's out there, we don't know who's hearing, but they'll take what they take, and if they can apply it to their own lives and increase their trajectory or go to a better place, that's just a thrilling process to be a part of. And so that's what excites me, at least.
Yes, no, I'm with you. An upward spiral is always our desired outcome, right?
For sure. We talk, much about, again, this best audacious life, and so oftentimes use the analogy of a journey. Like, we think life is a journey, and on that path or on that journey, we're going to come through obstacles and roadblocks and all sorts of things, things that are fun, but also things that are painful, and that's part of the journey. And so, accepting of all those things, recognizing recognizing that that's part of the process to get to this best audacious life. You spend a considerable amount of time in the healing space and helping people to heal or understand what healing is. I think they're two independent things, but they work hand in hand with one another. And so maybe as a starting point, I can get you to introduce yourself to our audience, talk about the work that you do, and what's got you to the point that you're at now.
Oh, I really appreciate the opener. Quite honestly, today, oddly, I can honestly say that I am showing up in this world in my full essence. So I am now 56 years old. I've had several different professional careers. I am pulling from the bucket list of all of my strengths and showing up in my essence. And I want to say that because I'm proud to be able to say it because it really does light me up to hold space as a medical intuitive and somebody whose the primary mission in life is to create a level of coherence for other people
Mm-hmm.
within their own physical body, within their own central nervous system. And I do that by utilizing modalities that are hands-on in adjusting the spine as a chiropractor. But
Mm-hmm.
more importantly, I also hold space for energetic healing as well. And so my journey has been anything oddly, it is not linear. I thought when I was a young person that, I would graduate from chiropractic school and then my professional career would be I would be a chiropractor for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And that's not how it happened.
Right. Never
Okay.
is. This is it. Never is.
No, no, but I was young and somewhat naive,
Sure.
and I really
Sure.
thought I had it figured out. But the truth be told, I knew absolutely nothing. And the longer I live and the more life experience that I have to date, the more I acknowledge that there's so much more for me to learn. So,
Mm-hmm.
I started off at a young age. At 25, I graduated from chiropractic school, and I graduated. I was a good Technically speaking, I was a good chiropractor. I knew how to adjust the human spine. What they did not teach me was business at when I
Mm-hmm.
was in chiropractic school. It's like a technical school.
Yes.
And so I had the school of hard knocks. I tried a lot of different things and quite honestly, I failed at most of my marketing endeavors, but I had a few successful wins and I was just stubborn enough to keep going and keep going and keep going to where I did create a successful business. And then I started to franchise and do multiple offices. And oddly, I got to a point in my life where, from the outsider's perspective, it looked like I had everything figured
Sure.
out. It
Yeah.
looked
Yeah.
like, from
That
that's
doesn't it
from the
always,
outside,
right?
right? It looked good, so it must be good. And what I finally, when I was honest with myself, I was miserable. I was miserable with what I had created. And it's not that I created something negative, it just wasn't in alignment with my true north, that compass that guides me into the direct alignment of what my purpose is. And I lost that somewhere. And so, as fate has it, or as life happens, I chose to sell everything, including my earthly possessions, my home. And my husband and I moved from Colorado Springs, Colorado to Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam.
Okay.
And at that time, oddly, I was known what is considered to be a quote unquote trailing spouse. And I hated that term because I was anything but trailing, but I was a little lost at the moment.
Sure.
And I just went through a huge identity crisis. Like, who am I? What am I? Why am I still here? And what's my purpose? And for the first time in my life, I really didn't have like a brick and mortar place to call my office. And
Right.
so that was a really that was a big deal for me.
Of course.
And that's when I started to lean more into my yoga practice. And I went down to Bali to finish up my yoga teacher's training. And I got heavy into meditation because for the first time in my life, I had time, right? So I got heavy into meditation, and then I was like, what is this? What is happening? What is happening in the space between my ears when I meditate? Because some of these things are just that were happening to me or for me were waking me up to a new level of awareness or a new level of consciousness. And so oddly, what I did is even though I was living in Ho Chi Minh City, I traveled to upstate Lenox, Massachusetts to study underneath Dr. Talbin Shahar. He was the teaching positive psychology, and he was teaching the neuroscience behind meditation. So I could
Right.
appeal to the scientific, portion of my brain, literally, and I could lean into a better understanding the neurologies to the benefits of meditation.
Okay. Okay.
So that was what happened. And then several years later, I knew that I knew the human body. Now I knew the brain. And then I needed to better understand the subtle energetic field that surrounds the human body. And so I went to train to become a medical intuitive. So
Love it.
today, I pull from all of those various different strengths and I show up. I show up for people who are looking to heal old wounds or traumas or belief systems so that they can get rid of that and step into a version of themselves, as you say, their audacious life.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
basically, my intention, oddly, is to see and to support other people in being completely full of themselves, full of their essence, full of their life force energy, ready to show up in the world without unapologetically.
Love it. I love it. Just be who you're supposed to be, right? Like show up as who you are.
You do you, I do me.
Absolutely love it. Well, I certainly appreciate your journey, Mary, and the path that you take. As you said, it is not linear. It's anything but that. But I really think, and often an expression heard once is that life. When you live it forward, it's an art. When you look back, it's a science. And when you look back, you can see kind of where all the dots are connected, right? And you can go, oh, I had to go here to go here to go here. If I didn't do that, then I would have been here and I wouldn't be where I am right now in this exact moment. And where you are, it's like the perfect place. Like this is where I'm supposed to be, right? And so that's, of course, if you're being your true authentic self, right? And so I really do love to hear about your journey. Very curious if you were to sort of sum up your healing philosophy in a sentence. What would you how what would you say?
Well, in a sentence, it would be challenging.
Okay.
However, my philosophy is that if you are truly coherent, if you're the space in between your brain and your heart are in coherence, then you ultimately will be transmitting the signals that you want to attract into your world, and you'll be able to electromagnetically attract them into your essence. And
Mm.
so I believe that we are surrounded by a beautiful, subtle, energetic field that is connected into the quantum field. So that is a summarized version of my philosophy and my healing belief.
And again, going back to that, we just talked about that journey. I would imagine that your journey and all the things that you've done have helped sort of form that.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Absolutely. I've always known that I was part of something much larger than me,
Hmm.
right? And so I always had this spiritual alignment. But quite honestly, there were times in my life where I didn't trust it.
Mm.
And so when you're trying to say,
Why
yeah,
is that? I'm curious. Why is that? Where that lack of
uh,
trust?
it came from being fear driven.
Hmm.
I allowed the conditioned response of my past to influence what I perceived at the present moment. So I was reinventing the same day every day with the same belief systems. And so I couldn't get over that broken record. It was the same tape that was playing over and over. And so that's what neurologically, through neuroplasticity, ingrained that belief system that was stemmed from fear that was holding me back.
Mhm. I would imagine you're working with a cross section of individuals that come with whatever they're bringing forth in terms of whether sort of healing needs or um, um, uh, concerns that they have. What I'm most curious about is how do you maintain your own energy um, and helping yourself because you're supporting others, right? And it's not that you're taking on what they're experiencing, but there's an aspect of that you've got to open up yourself to be able to receive them, to be able to help them. No, is that Fair to say?
Yeah, no, I hear the question. And here I have to say this is a brilliant question, and I'm glad that we're having this conversation because I think that this is something that is not discussed.
Hmm.
It is not discussed the energy exchange that it takes in order to deliver a service. Now,
Yes.
I don't care if it's a service where you are delivering a product, or if you are in the healing arts, or
Yep.
if you are waiting tables. There is always an energy exchange in the service industry. And I love this question because I had to learn it. I had to learn it at a very deep level because I went through an exhaustion, a burnout phase when I was
Yeah.
running multiple practices, working
Yeah.
for a high overhead. I can honestly say that I didn't know how to separate myself from the people that I was being of service to, or the employees that I had, or the suppliers that I needed in order to run my business. It became really kind of cloudy. Like I didn't know what energy was mine, what emotions were mine, and what belonged to other people. And so when I was in the Academy of Intuition Medicine, the very first thing that Dr. Francesca McCartney taught us was she calls it a neutral separation.
Okay.
I call it kind of a detached alignment. And so essentially what this is, Audley, is I want all of your listeners to understand this, is that at the end of the day, when you kind of slow down and come back to self, take
Hmm.
a moment to review your day and literally gift back the energy that you shared with all these various different spheres of people.
Yes.
Now, my sphere could be everybody that I worked out with this morning, all my patients that I saw today, all of the people at the grocery store. I can have spheres of influences or pods of people that I interacted with that day. And I literally, oddly, go through a technique in which I will open up my hands, face them out toward the imaginary pods of people that are outside of myself in their own little location. And I imagine a stream of energy or light being emitted from my hands traveling over to these other pods of people.
Hmm.
And what I do is I literally sit back and I watch and I witness the energy that these people like love receiving energy. It's like they're receiving a Christmas gift, or a
Love it.
birthday gift or a birthday cake. And they fluff up energetically. And so I just kind of sit and I witness. And then there's a time when it's appropriate for me to retrieve the energy that rightfully belongs to me. And then I retrieve my life force energy so that I fill myself back up before I go home to greet my husband for the evening.
Mm.
And
Mm.
so then I sever all these cords, right? And
Yep.
so then I end all these looping thoughts, the unfinished conversations, and the to-do list. And I sever all these cords. And then I know that, tomorrow I come back, I have my list of things to do. But basically, I retrieve the energy that rightfully belongs to me so that I can be of service to myself and to my family. So that's what I do on a daily basis for hygiene. And it's like
Yes.
brushing my teeth. It's something that I have to do every day.
Yes, yeah, I do love that, and it's something that actually became very real to me in terms of an awareness during the pandemic. Right, we
Mm.
know the first responders that were helping so many people. It was the first time I realized, well, wait a second, they're going through it too. And how do they fortify themselves and strengthen themselves to be able to deliver that service, and that's sort of where that bit of awareness opened, because I never did before. But until you go through a global pandemic, everyone's in the same boat at the same time. That's you're like, oh, how are they doing this? So I was very, very curious, and what sort of prompted my question to you, because it's I think we call it balance, right? It's very easy,
Mm.
and it's very easy to lose that balance. And so and when you do when you lose it, or don't have it, are you really serving others at that point? And I would say you're not.
You're not. And so that's why I say it's kind of an energetic hygiene. So it's my responsibility to
Yes.
meditate every day. It's
Yes.
my responsibility to exercise so that I can move energy through my system. It's my responsibility to do the neutral separation because I come to be of service and I'm exchanging energy and I want that energy to be a high vibe, clean, pure intention energy that's not filled with other people's junk.
And what's beautiful about that is you now can evangelize the benefits of these practices to your clients and show them, hey, no, these things actually work. I use them myself, they're part of my world practice. And so I think in turn it's beneficial for both sides, yourself and for your clients.
Yeah. Audley, I believe in it so much that I created just because we're having this conversation, I
Mhm.
created a guided meditation on this technique specifically, and it is free of charge on my website
Good.
because all people need to know how to do this. And
Yes.
so if listeners, if you're curious and you're like, I'm not sure I understand what she's talking about,
Yeah.
then just download the guided meditation and I'll walk you through it step by step.
That's an interesting point. For those maybe that's never heard of even like energy medicine, what's the sort of a simple kind of quick, here's what it is that you could explain to people?
Yeah, no, it's not an easy concept to explain to people. And
Mhm.
you asked me what my philosophy was, and I think that that's the important foundation so that people kind of understand where I'm coming from, because I'm using any
Mhm.
modality, whether it be hands-on or hands-off, to balance and to create that coherence. The
Yes.
coherence within the central nervous system, the autonomic nervous system, specifically sympathetic, parasympathetic, and I'm doing it by adjusting the spine and also doing energy work. And so energy just follows thoughts and intentions. So the
Mhm.
more creative I can be in holding that space creatively, with the visualization, words and sounds and whatever impression that I might be able to offer to the patient, the better the results that I get.
I love it. I love it. I really just do appreciate the simplified manner that you present it. Because it's got to be understandable to people. Right? People got to be able to digest it and absorb it the right way. And I think the way you're doing that is fantastic. You know, there are people, even listeners, that sometimes sort of feel disconnected even from their bodies, right? And that connection is so important. And are there kind of maybe some practical steps that maybe you teach that can help people deal with this or address this?
Yes. I just have to applaud you in your questions, Audley. It's like they are just so on point. Because I firmly believe that grounding is one of the most, wow, connecting with the earth energy. Let me say it this way.
Hmm.
Connecting with the earth energy is the most sustainable energy that we have as beautiful spirits in occupying our human home.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
the earth that we stand on, Gaia, Mother Earth, however you want to refer to her, emanates a frequency. She
Hmm.
is surrounded by a what is called the Schumann's resonance. It's 7.83 hertz.
Okay.
It's slow, it's rich, it's organic, it's nutrient dense, it's saturating, it's nurturing, it's loving, it's supportive. And that's available for us 24/7, 365. And
Mm.
very few of us will take the time to actually slow down
Yep.
and say, time out. Wherever I was, whatever I was doing is not that important. I'm just going to lay here in this patch of grass. I'm going to
Mhm.
lay here on this rock. I'm going to
Yeah.
walk on this mountain. I'm going to walk on this beach. I'm going to do whatever it is in
Hmm.
order to replenish your energetic system. And that's so, so, so important. And when you can establish that connection, it makes it safe. There's an element of safety that happens so that you can truly kind of come back into your body. So that if your body for some reason is betraying you or is experiencing disease or discordance or
Hmm.
illness,
Hmm.
it's kind of hard to feel safe in your physical body. Or if you've had, big T trauma or small T trauma, it's
Yeah.
scary to be in your human home. But
Of
if you're
course.
connected, if you're really connected into the earth, it makes it just a little bit easier to do.
Hmm. As you said, trauma. I think about how many of us And us, because I will include myself. Like I'm not immune to these things, and I'm a human like everyone else. And I think about there's things like generational trauma or things that happen to people in our childhood, and to be able to heal from that or those things is difficult, particularly when you don't know the origin. All you know that you're feeling, and I mean, I'm sure you've seen the clients like, I feel this way and I'm off. And to be able to connect that to something that happened in your childhood is, I think it's fascinating, quite frankly, to uncover that. But to be able to do that work, that's it's not an easy process.
No, and it's incredibly intimate. And
Yeah.
what I hear more often than not is somebody comes in and says, I'm carrying this energy and it doesn't belong to me. And then if I ask the right question, well, who does it belong to? Then they can say, oh my goodness, it feels like my mom, or it feels like my
Right,
grandma, or
right,
it feels
right.
like just this collective energy, this ancestral kind of energy or the cultural kind of energy that they were raised in. And so people know intuitively when they're carrying energy that doesn't belong to them. And they may or may not have physical symptoms associated with it. Because what I believe, and I think science is very much catching up to this in the field of epigenetics
Hmm.
or in the understanding of the polyvagal trauma responses, we store literally everything we have a memory for, from everything that we've seen, everything we've heard, everything we've
Yes.
smelt over our entire lives is stored on a cellular level within our physical body. And so when people say, oh, well, what is a big T trauma versus a small T trauma? Big T trauma could be some kind of direct physical, emotional, or sexual abuse, or a motor vehicle accident where you're thrown from the car or
Sure.
you were hit by a bus. People can identify that as big T trauma, but it's the little T trauma that happens repetitively in your environment, whether it just be emotional abuse or
Mhm.
conditioned responses from your family that get stuck in the physical body. And you're like, I'm not sure where this is coming from. And when we start to unravel it, you will find that within the physical body, there are energy systems or vortexes of energy known as chakras that
Yep.
will neurologically store these memories and create themes, if you will, in your conditioned responses. And so
Yes.
you kind of start attracting that stuff that you're accustomed to. So it is a very
Yes.
intimate relationship to be seen and heard at that level.
Yeah, and I'll add, if you don't mind, intimate, providing that the individual is being truly honest with themselves and very open, because you're doing some diving, some deep diving, if you will. I heard a coach one time say that you literally got to ask yourself why 5 times. Like what?
Yeah.
Why? Oh, because why? Like keep digging until you really get to the heart of it. But again, if you're not at that place yet. And I think each individual's got to come to that point. If you're not there, then I don't think you're doing the process justice, right?
Right. No, that's very true. I've got actually, this just happened last week, an example that I'll share with you and the
Sure.
listeners.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had a patient and she just turned 50. To make a long story short, she had a trauma, a fall, and she had an issue, a direct trauma to the shoulder.
Hmm.
And then she had a minor trauma that affected the opposite shoulder. And so she was doing the physical modalities but was not getting the responses that she was looking for, meaning her body wasn't healing fast enough.
Right.
And so she wanted to go one layer deeper, like, why is this? And so I said, well, let's just do some energy work. And so she agreed and consented that she would come back in and do some energy work. And to make a long story short, when I opened up the field and looked at the space of the heart, which is connected into the shoulders, elbows, arms, and wrist,
Hmm.
I started to get additional information about a possible another layer of grieving of her mother
Mm,
that has passed
mm,
during 9/11.
Right. Right.
And so she was like, and she was kind of confused because she'd been through the main grieving phase, and she was confused as to why or how it would still linger on and how that would show up in her physical body.
Mm.
And that's just one
Yeah.
example that I'll share with you.
Yeah, yeah. Mary, how do you decide which modality to turn to? I mean, with you've got I imagine you've got a bevy at your disposal, like a bunch of tools, a
Yeah.
toolbox, right?
Yeah, I'm constantly asking. So when I'm in an expanded state, and what I mean by that, I really am in a deep meditative state when I'm doing this work. I'm constantly asking, what does whatever the patient's name, what do they need in present time for their next step in their healing journey? And so I keep asking, and then they show me or tell me what body region, what
Hmm.
area, where we need to be focusing on and what modality to be using.
Mm.
So I don't make that decision from an intellectual standpoint.
Right, right. It's like a feeling,
Yeah, it's the intuition.
intuition, which is another modality as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
Intuition.
absolutely. Absolutely. So when I tap into my intuition, I guess my top four would be I receive information via my hands through
Hmm.
psychometry. I
Hmm.
receive information clairvoyantly. I hear things, so clairaudient, and then I also receive direct knowledge or direct knowing. So those are my most finely tuned intuitive skills, and it all depends upon the person that I'm holding space for as
Of
well.
course, of course, of course. Um, Out of curiosity, and for our listeners, if there is maybe one sort of single most um, I guess, important action that they can take to sort of align with their true selves, what would you say that is?
Well, we've already talked about two of them.
Okay.
Number one, and that is to have a detached alignment from your environment.
Okay.
Okay. The second thing is grounding. Stay connected into Mother Earth because she is ready, willing, and able to receive any and all discordant energy which you may be carrying on to. So that's number two. And number three, the third advice that I would give to you and the listeners is
Hmm.
to regulate the energy center but located behind the eyes that literally is known as a timing clock. It just keeps you in present time. So
Hmm.
your future is not dictated by the conditioned responses of the past,
Yep.
meaning that you're not like stuck in a depressive tendencies based upon what happened in the past, nor are you so far forward thinking that you're anxious about what is to come. And so, on that linear spectrum, a lot of people fall in one of those two categories. And what I'm offering as a solution is to get really clear about how to bring your awareness in present time, because that's the only place that you can change, literally transform, heal,
Yes.
or
Yes.
metamorphosize your conditioned responses.
The significance of being mindful of where you're at and in the exact moment. So like right now, Mary, I am here with you and I'm mindful of that and I'm absorbing and we're doing the energy exchange back and forth
Yes, we
and
are.
and being very mindful of that. And again, our listeners have the opportunity to witness this exchange of energy and be able to literally feel it, right? And so I mean I can
Yeah.
feel it. I think it's fabulous. Um, yeah, it's just still no. I think it's a great sort of great topic overall, and the healing standpoint. Like I literally just had a conversation earlier today with someone about the significance of healing and the process of healing. If to fully heal, you're unable to start that until you sort of let go of the things that you're clinging to. So if this thing hurts you and you're holding on to that, well then you're not ready to heal because you got to let that go to move forward, right? And that's going to happen for different people at different points in their lives, but each of us has to be ready to get there.
So true. And that's the hardest point is change.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
so worth it. It's so
Oh,
worth it.
absolutely, without question.
in hindsight, it's always 2020, but the amount of energy that one uses to hold on to that one thing that they're so fearful of letting go of, that is 100 times, that takes 100 times more concentration in your life force energy, gets bound up in this, that if you were just to allow it to be released and to be
Yes.
let go, then that frees you up. Oh, that frees you up for some great things.
It certainly does. And I've really appreciated our chat today. I think I spoke earlier about how your approach is you've simplified the approach to make it easy to digest and understand, which is so important. If people are going to take this step, like you want to be able to take this step confidently, knowing that you have a full understanding of what you're getting yourself into, right?
Yes.
And the amount of work that's involved, because that's the big part about it too. It's not an easy journey, right?
No, it's not. And it can be and has been overwhelming for people. And so for those of you that are listening and you're wondering if it's time to seek out, the assistance from a facilitator or a practitioner, make it a good fit. Meaning
Mm-hmm.
that take the time to research the people, take the time to talk to them, to connect with them, because it
Mm-hmm.
is a relationship. And so you want to feel good with that person because let me
Yes.
tell you something, the stuff that you're going to be experiencing, that roller coaster ride of emotions is going to be challenging.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Mary, for listeners that wanted to connect with you directly or learn more about your work or work with you, where can we send them?
Yeah, Audley, I'm going to share with you in the audience that my website is like this breathing organism in its own. So, it has all my latest podcasts, it has my latest classes, my one-on-one services, and it has a discovery call on there.
Okay.
And so it's simply my name. So it's www.drmarysanders.com. And there you're going to be able to see everything at your fingertips. You're going to be able to read about professional and also personal history to better understand me. And I just, if you're curious, let's connect and let's just chat about what's up for you. And if I'm not a good match, then I'm going to do my best to match you with somebody who is a good match.
Got you. Well, and what we'll do is make sure that all the appropriate contact details in the show notes below, so individuals have the opportunity to connect with you, and we would encourage them to do so. This has been fabulous, Mary. I really do appreciate this. One last thing, I like to ask my guests, and I do so this time with you. When you think about audacious living, what does it mean to you?
Well, I talked about this. I think that is living life to its fullest, being 100% authentically you.
hmm And it's so important when you think about that journey we're on, right? Like it's very easy to kind of look to the left or the right and what other people are going through and what they're experiencing, but that's not ours, right? That's not meant for us. So very quickly, we have what's called the BOLD framework. BOLD is an acronym, and it's to help you live your best audacious life. So the B in that stands for better than yesterday. It's encouraging constant improvement, right? So yes, you climbed that mountain yesterday. What are you gonna do today, right? So it's better than yesterday. The O in that framework is for outlasting adversity, and we talked a little bit about the adversity and the challenges, and the pitfalls, and the obstacles in front of us, and it's coming on us to kind of get up, over, around, through that boulder to get to the other side where all the greatness lies. The L, which is tied in directly to directly our point here, our pathway, is live your truth. Yeah, we've all got our own individual stories, our own individual journeys. And not that we can't draw from the experience of others, but we still have to face that path that's right in front of us. And so that's the element. Lastly, the D is disrupt the norm. And lastly, it's a long story. Lastly, the D is for disrupt the norm, and that really encourages individuals to go off that beaten path. And if you think of an inventor, every time they create something brand new, they failed a whole bunch of times, and they went off that different path. And like the Wright brothers, and how many versions of their plane that they made before they finally got off the ground. And just imagine the people around them going, "Flying's for the birds. What are you doing?" Like the people around them must have been so doubtful, but you do it anyways. And so that framework helps you again live your best audacious life. And again, the L about the living your truth is really what I focus in on, because the authenticity piece. And so that's my offering to you. I share with you.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And I've taken some notes and I'm going to refer back to that because I'm going to have to borrow some of your acronyms. So that's lovely. Thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you, and thank you for being here. Congratulations on the work that you've done to get you to the point that you are now. Again, knowing that your journey has been informed by so many different experiences and the different modalities that you've picked up and things that you've learned, and you're now taking those to help others is simply wonderful. So, Mary, congratulations on the work, and thank you for being a guest on the Audacious Living Podcast.
All my honor, all my honor. Thank you for all that you're doing in this world and holding space for beautiful people. I love the work that you're doing. Keep it up. And thank you again. I appreciate your generous offer to be here today.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you. Back we are here on the podcast. If there's one core message I hope to take away from this conversation, it's got to be this. Healing isn't about doing more. It's about creating safety within yourself. Whether that safety comes from grounding into the earth, practicing energetic hygiene, or finally acknowledging trauma you've been carrying for years, healing begins when you slow down enough to listen. What I personally loved about this conversation with Mary was just how practical and grounded she made healing feel. It seemed very, very, very easy and something anyone can access. She removed the mystery and replaced it with intention. The idea of energetic hygiene really stood out to me. That reminder that when we're constantly giving without restoring ourselves, we eventually lose clarity about what energy is ours and what belongs to others. And that really landed for me because living audaciously doesn't mean burning yourself out. It means learning how to protect your energy so you can keep showing up fully, clearly, and authentically. That's audacity in wisdom. If today's conversation resonated with you, I strongly encourage you to connect with Dr. Mary directly. You'll find all of her contact details and services and resources and links to her podcast in the show notes below. This also includes a free guided meditation focused on energetic hygiene. So I encourage you to take advantage of it because it truly is a powerful place to start. And again, Dr. Mary is offering that free guided meditation. And it's really designed to help you restore your energy and practice that energetic hygiene that we've been speaking about. And again, those details are in the show notes. Remember the tree, right? When the roots are grounded, the trunk strengthens. When old damage is healed, growth becomes natural. And when energy flows freely, the tree doesn't just survive, it thrives. That's the work. That's the energy. That's audacious living. Thank you for spending part of your day with me today. If this episode added value to your life, please take a moment to follow, subscribe, or share this podcast with others you think needs to hear this message. It's how we take this message and how it continues to reach more and more people who do need it the most. And if you haven't already, really would appreciate if you take a moment and leave a review at ratethispodcast.com/audacious. Again, continues to help us grow. Until next time, keep grounding yourself, keep listening inward, and keep living your best audacious life ever.
Driven by purpose, fueled by passion. My words got power, my thoughts have action. Motivation, stay gracious, that's greatness.